Welcome to the Gritty Podcast, my friends, and I am your host, Brian Call, and I'm joined by my brother, the Gritty Broman, also known as Brent Call. How are you, Brent?
I'm well, thank you.
Today's podcast is with Levi Morgan. 12-time, what is he, 12-time?
Shooter of the year.
Shooter of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Which, he's the Michael Jordan of archery.
Except Michael Jordan only won 6 times.
Yeah. So he just returned from shooting from hunting here in Utah. He's in camp with like Rogan and Cameron and Barklow from Sitka, and I think Dudley was there, Jocko. So he had a hunt up there in the hills, and then he came down and joined me and Jordan for a workout at the gym. And man, when you have someone like Levi Morgan, you got to pick his brain. So we came into the studio and we talked about a lot of things.
We start off with kind of the fact that he's this gigantic linebacker and how he kind of got there. What's his health? What's his food? What's his exercise?
Yeah, because he's looking freaking fit right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to admit, when I walked in the gym, I feel all depleted, eating backpack food, starving to death. Walk in the gym and Levi's like stacked like he's for NFL, like
4 chickens a day.
Yeah, just built. And I'm like, man, he's looking good, looking real good. So we talked a little bit about fitness and health. And then as you are obligated to do with someone like that, you got to pick his brain about archery. Mm-hmm. And we got into some really just good discussions about, making shots when they count and talking about just archery. And I'm excited because I'm going to listen to this. I'm going to listen to it multiple times because he's saying things that I need to soak up.
The number one thing that he said in this podcast that stuck out to me was failure is the time to learn.
Yeah.
So many people fail and then they just move on. They don't want to think about the failure. They don't want to analyze the failure. They don't want to really learn from the failure because it's painful.
Yeah.
He said, when you mess up on a shot, that's the time to really sit back and go, how did I mess up? And if you don't take a learning experience from that, that's a real failure.
Well, and he talks about making a shot intentionally. And the one thing that I thought was pretty cool too was to hear Levi say, I failed a lot, and then to talk about his grizzly hunt and how he wet the bed.
Yeah.
It's like, well, dang, I'm not the only one. Even Levi Morgan has wet the bed, And
his lustiness.
got in the way, like Ranella says. So it's a really cool podcast. I really enjoyed the conversation. Levi is salt of the earth. He's such a cool human being.
Levi sounds like when he's talking, I feel like I should hear NASCAR's whirring in the background.
Yeah, I do too.
He's all American.
Yeah, he definitely. He's got the ball cap folded tight. You can't see left or right with his ball cap on. Before we get into that, we just wanted to announce the winner of the binoculars for signing up for the Gritty newsletter, and that was Austin Buffet. And
sounds awfully French.
Anyway, Austin, congrats. Let's get you on a Skype call and hear about those binos, and I'm happy for you. That's cool. To win more stuff, we're going to do more giveaways. Sign up for that newsletter at briancall.com.
Sign up, subscribe for our YouTube channel where we're giving some stuff away through there.
Yeah.
I found out how to look at people individually.
Okay.
Every subscriber.
Brent's just a genius. He's just cruising.
YouTube is a scary thing to navigate.
Oh, YouTube is. They're throttling things and letting some things go. It's just I wish they just wouldn't censor it at all. Anyway, before we get into the actual show, I'm going to read some comments because we got some killer comments. Here's one on the Travis Short podcast. For those that missed it, Travis has an incredible story of weight loss and taking his life back. Mm-hmm. And it's it's just a cool story. And Troy Westerber wrote, I really like these podcasts. It helps me to stay focused. I can really relate to his story. I have been in his shoes. It is hard to stay focused with family and life. I lost 30 pounds the first 3 months, then gained 20. But the 20 I gained is muscle. I'm still trying to lose fat, and the harder I work, the more I gain. I have to not look at the scale because it is discouraging. But if I judge it on how I feel, and how much easier it is to just breathe, I remember I'm on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
When you're really trying to, if you're a big dude and you're trying to lose weight, if I lose 5 pounds, no one's going to notice. 5 pounds is not even a dent.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, getting on a scale and be like, yeah, I lost 5 pounds, it's not really that much motivation for me.
I think inches are more important.
Exactly.
You know, you can feel your belt shrink, but your weight might stay the same,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Which it generally does for me. I put on muscle pretty easily and fat.
Well, on the same podcast, Preacher Bear wrote, great
Also,
video.
can we say how much I love that name?
Preacher Bear. He wrote, great video, guys. I can relate to Travis with the turnaround. I lost 150 pounds in the last year. Whoa, 150 pounds in the last year.
That's my wife plus 2 babies.
I was always, I think he said tired and run down.
Mm-hmm.
Now the wife and I hike at least 5 miles a day. My question is to Brian, with all the hunts you have been in and game you have taken, what's the best pack food meal you have packed in? God bless, guys.
Sardines.
The best food, one of my favorite meals is Heather's Choice salmon and sockeye chowder. Salmon chowder, sockeye.
I was
salmon
close.
Chowder, whatever. When she first came out with her meals 4 or 5 years ago, they were a little spicy for me, and I complained about it quite a bit. She's taken the spice out. You can add spice if you want. You know, like Lampers, don't dump your stupid sriracha, agave spices in there, whatever. Bring your own salsa, your Tabascos. Do your thing. But my deal was I really like that salmon chowder. I think it tastes freaking awesome. And so that's one of my it's hearty. You're eating chunks of salmon. It's chowder, and you're in the backcountry. It's good. The other one is my wife makes me chicken and quinoa, teriyaki kind of chicken and quinoa, and I can smash that, and it rehydrates like a champ.
30 pounds of quinoa.
Oh man! And you bring some cheese, bring a little bit of cheese and
those
baby bells, Tillamook, whatever, and I just slice, and I drop it after it's warmed up and rehydrated. I just dump a bunch of cheese in there, and I put the lid on. 3 or 4 different cheeses. I'll use a Tillamook square, sharp cheddar, white cheddar, Colby, whatever. And you just drop it in there and then put the lid back on, let it all melt and mix it in. It's all cheesy. It's like a cheesy lasagna, chicken and quinoa.
Cheese.
I just wolf it down. It's a delicious homemade backcountry meal. So, and the mountain mush. There's just sometimes where I want that oatmeal, blueberries, strawberries, coconut sugar.
And you can have it hot or cold.
Protein powder, all of that stuff. Man, it's good. And sometimes that's just so hearty and delicious. I like it with lots of pecans and almonds, and it just, it's delicious. So great question. Brent's right, though. I do like to pack in sardines and Milton crackers and cheese.
My wife is mad that I brought 8 cans of sardines with us on this thing. I plan on eating sardines every day. And for me, I love them because you can just mash them up with the olive oil in there and you can just eat them straight out of the can. And I'll tell you what, Brian, I've seen what my wife packed and I've seen what I've packed. She's going to be bumming off me.
I'll tell you that my wife makes some homemade Rice Krispies. I like those. I like the Smashmallow Rice Krispies. Those are a nice treat. I love to take sweet potatoes, like a whole sweet potato and a whole applesauce, blend those together and make fruit leathers out of those. Those are money. It's healthy. It's a whole serving of sweet potato, which is a great carb source. Apple, same thing. They both have certain elements of fiber and nutritional value. And so every day you're getting an apple, you're getting a sweet potato, and then you're also getting, I bring a banana, basically, on a dried banana for each day. You're getting
that. You slicing up all those little bananas in your dehydrator.
Dehydrated. You get a full banana. You know what I mean? It's not rocket science, but it's just good food. Okay. Another one on the Travis Short podcast, JT Stengel, he said, Brent, are you going to do any hunting?
I have one hunt planned this year, and it is my goal is to take my wife hunting.
Mm-hmm.
That's really it. My wife works at Sportsman's Warehouse, and when tags went on sale, she
Eagerly.
She sent me a text and said, should I get a spike tag or an antlerless elk tag? This is really cute because I just didn't get back to her in time, and so she went and bought, in her mind, horns. That's what you always shoot. You shoot something with horns. Mm-hmm. So she got me a spike tag. Mm. And then I kind of explained to her the numbers game there that's involved.
Right.
And we went back to go buy an antlerless elk tag, and this is literally 4 hours after she texted me they were sold out.
Yeah.
So we're going in. I'm hunting Utah for the first time ever, and it's just an over-the-counter rifle tag, and they have a ton of spike units down here in Utah.
I am not a fan of spike-only hunts. They're like a needle in a freaking haystack. At least with antlerless, there's cows.
The numbers.
They're numbers.
So I'm not really holding my breath. The real trick is I'm just going to get my wife out there and get her hiking.
Yeah, I leave tomorrow. I leave today, actually, with Caitlin.
You leave in 20 minutes.
Yeah, and Caitlin and I are going to go on a backcountry hunt. Just a 2 or 3 day hunt with Anthony and his son Brock. His son Brock drew a tag. So it's just the four of us. We're going to help Brock kill a bull and pack it out in the wilds of Idaho. And
I've got a couple of crazy hunts that I'm looking into.
I'm going to see if I can steal some tenderloin and a backstrap from this hunt, because I don't have enough meat already,
Yeah.
All right. So Woody Wilderness wrote, awesome, guys. I also liked the last podcast where you talked about life bumps in the road and the tools you two have to overcome them. I bought the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. Can't wait to read it. What was that other book? Grief? I believe that's what it was called.
This is from the podcast with Corey Jacobson calling Everybody
Suffers.
Everybody Suffers.
So that podcast, I got a lot of really, really genuine and sobering emails from people on that podcast that were just great emails. People saying, thank you for the message and the discussion. Everybody suffers. My cousin Ben, he lost his son a little over a month ago, his oldest son. And
has it only been a month?
Month and a half or so.
Wow.
These things everybody goes through trials, and Corey and I just got into the discussion and kind of spitball some things, and I was curious, how does Corey handle struggle, and how does he overcome trials? And we had that discussion. But the book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, I think that is a life-changing book, and I wish every kid read it. I wish they read it in high school. I wish it was required reading.
Why are we reading that? But they force kids to read, what is that stupid book, Lord of the Flies? That was the first book in high school I had to read.
I don't know. And to read from a Holocaust survivor and their insight and human nature and then, Man's Search for Meaning. It's a deep book. I think you're going to love that book. The other book is called Grief Observed. That's the name of the book. And
by C.S. Lewis.
By C.S. Lewis. And that one's a little different. And one's be prepared to read the words of a man in the depths of sorrow and loss, and then be prepared to see him be erratic, because he goes from extreme bad days to good days. And anyone who has lost a loved one can relate to the fact that sometimes it's like life is normal, and then out of nowhere, something you see reminds you of the person you lost, and you go from these wild swings of normal to emotional breakdowns, and that's part of Grief Observed. And
it's an interesting book because it was more of a coping mechanism that he made. He just decided every day, I'm going to write what today feels like, what today's about, whatever he wants to.
Yeah.
And so some of the days he just word vomits onto the paper.
Yep.
And then other days it's very painful. And then some days he's happy, and you just never know what you're going to get.
But I think, Jordan Peterson I'm a fan of him, and 12 Rules for Life, books right here. I think that when someone goes through, when you go and you study the depths and the darkest parts of humanity, I think it actually gives you hope for the good parts of humanity. And, It also can help you redirect your ideas and your mind toward positive things instead of really dark and negative things. And that's a useful exercise for everyone. Thanks for all the comments, man. I really appreciate that. And leave us more comments on YouTube. We go through those a lot. Leave them on Instagram. And send us info on our newsletter or our email at briancall.com. And then I wanted to say, get free shipping at Mountain Ops using the code GRITTY, and save 15% off on Sissy Sticks. And for those who don't have a pair, you should get some. They're cool. They're carbon fiber trekking poles with aluminum bottoms and
7.5 ounces each.
Yeah, they're legit, man, and they are a game changer when you're hiking. And someone makes fun of me for using the term game changer all the time, but it is what it is. Mm-hmm. It is
when you change the name of the game.
That's right. So sign up for the newsletter for more giveaways. Sign up for our YouTube. Subscribe there. Brent's been figuring out how we can do giveaways through YouTube, and if you're signed up, he's found out how to see the subscribers and then do a giveaway there. And then that's it. That's it for today's announcements. And thanks for tuning in. We appreciate all the feedback and all the comments, like we said. And good luck out there on your hunts that are coming up. And stay gritty, friends. Do you need any of these?
Ooh. Yeah, he'd hit one of those.
Are you pineapple or are you berry?
I've never tried to berry pineapple.
He's all over the place, dude. It's
See, for me, it's berry's the grown-up flavor, and pineapple's kind of like for the.
I feel like
I'd like
for
to
the
be
young at heart.
I'd like to be young again. I was the oldest guy in the truck this week.
That's weird.
God, it hurt. Man.
Are you serious?
How old are you?
32.
It's only 32,
Oh,
bro.
brother.
Yeah.
How old are you, Jordan?
Same, man. We're 87 babies. Yep.
Damn.
Dude, I was like, how old are you? Like 23. How old are you? 27. I'm like, well, how old are you? 30. I'm like,
I'm the oldest man in this.
nobody else in the truck. I was the oldest guy in the truck, man.
That's funny.
It sucked.
Yeah, I'm 45 almost in a few weeks. 45.
That's crazy. That's nonsense.
In case you're wondering, my birthday's October 13th. Jordan.
So everybody listening on the podcast
Hook me up,
today,
brother.
just make
Send
sure.
me a gift.
Yeah. Send gifts.
I expect something nice.
251 South Mountain Road, Fruit Heights, Utah, 84037. Addressed attention to Brian Call for his birthday on November.
October.
Wait, I thought it was November.
No, October 13th.
Oh,
What kind of friend are you, dude?
I'm bad, dude.
Yeah.
I'm a bad friend.
He's not the best.
Did I call you on your birthday?
Nope.
Dang, I'm a bad friend.
I don't celebrate birthdays anymore, really. So.
No, man. Your birth has already been celebrated long enough. It's like 32 years. Nobody cares anymore.
I've had one birthday party in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
One.
Tell me why and how.
Yeah, how do you... Man.
Samantha threw me one a couple years ago at Texas. We were at a tournament and had a bunch of friends in a conference room in a hotel and had pizza.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Little pizza party?
Pizza party.
That
man.
is it?
That's it.
Wow.
No birthday parties, man.
Jehovah's Witness?
No. No, I don't knock on people's doors random times of the
Are you a
day.
J-Dub?
No, dude.
You out there just...
Kingdom Hall, man.
Yeah, bro.
That's where I spend my time. No. But I just had... No. When I was growing up, it was just a very intimate setting on birthdays, which was fine, whatever.
Just mom, dad, and
But,
six.
dude, we do it up for our kids now, man. I'd never seen birthday parties.
Oh, I saw Landon's SpongeBob birthday.
It's like weddings.
You made my son have FOMO.
Oh, really?
Literally, I'm on my phone, and I'm scrolling through IG, and all of a sudden, Peyton's sitting here right next to me, and he's got his party. Sam's uploaded, like, every detail of what's going on. And Peyton's like, "What's that, Dad?" I said, it's my buddy Levi Morgan, his son, Landon's birthday. He's like, "How come you don't do birthdays like that for me?"
Oh, yeah.
Ours are poverty, dude. Like, we go down to, like, the dollar store, or we grab, like, a few plates and some napkins, and then one year, I think we surprised him with, like, a piñata, and he was
Right.
super jacked.
I had pretty good birthdays growing up.
Yeah, Samantha did, too, and I think that's why, like...
She is the driver.
Yeah, and she, like, lives through these parties, man. It's like, it starts, like, 6 months out planning. Like,
Whoa.
we got bouncy houses and tents and a cake maker, and... I'm just we have to wear certain custom T-shirts, whatever the theme of the party is, and I'm like, I barely got like cupcakes, you know. And I remember getting
yes.
I got a mount back one birthday. I had great birthday. You know what? I didn't need birthday parties. Whatever. I'm not mad about it. I still talk about it all the time, but I'm fine.
You know, what's funny? My mom had this thing because she had 8 kids where, you know, resources were semi-limited.
Right.
So it ended up being that you had a birthday party on special years. So when you turned 8, when you turned 12,
Maybe 10 if she liked you.
yeah, and then like when you were 16, I think, because you could drive. So you got like 3 kind of major birthdays, and on those she went all out, man. Like hardcore went out. And
that's cool.
We had, you know, you'd score like expensive gifts and a lot of them, and you'd have like all these kids come over, and it would be a major party. Like your friends would leave that house going, whoa,
Right.
like awe inspired by
Yeah.
what she did.
That's cool.
But the rest of the parties were like, hey, it's not one of those parties, so here's your
happy
cake
birthday.
and happy birthday.
Oh shoot, man.
So everybody, we're having a party right now here at Mountain Ops with Levi and Morgan.
Come on, let's do it. It could be my birthday.
It could, yeah. We're going to celebrate your own birthday.
Well, I got a call this morning, you know, for folks that are listening. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah.
We are here with Levi Morgan and Jordan Harbertson as my guests. I just got back late last night from a solo backcountry elk hunt in the middle of the night. And I packed out my bull elk by myself, by the way. It's just a full-on accomplishment.
Success!
And total, you know, backcountry solo hunt. So it was pretty cool. And then Jordan calls me this morning, and I'm honestly feeling a little back broken and tired after a couple of days of packing meat. And he said, hey, I'm at the gym with Levi Morgan. We're working out. So came down here, and I expected to see a less jacked, ripped Levi Morgan. But, dude.
Like somewhat depleted.
Yeah. I come in, you look like a football player.
Yeah.
Like NFL. Like, what the heck?
Bro's been hanging around Ben Roethlisberger too long, you know, like the Pittsburgh.
Except my elbow's
life.
not messed up.
No, except for the elbow's still intact. And
But I
just
also
fine.
didn't get hit by a 300-pound middle linebacker.
True.
either.
No.
No, I've been working out with this trainer lately, man. That's a game changer for me. You know, just
In what way?
Well, I've always, you know, fitness has been a big part of my life for probably, well, since I've known you.
Literally.
Really.
It's like, I feel like kind of when we talked 6 years ago was kind of that transition in your life where you're like, dude, I got to like take care of me.
Yeah, because I grew up, you know, always played sports, very active, and after high school, my job was I started shooting my bow, you know, and so I travel the country and just eat fast foods and junk food and wasn't active very much. And archery's not like a strenuous sport, you know. And so I just started putting on some weight, and I hated it, you know. And so about 6 years ago, I hit a point, and I was like, you know what, this sucks. And so I got with the Blake Kidder guy that you were talking about earlier today, and he's like competes in CrossFit, and it's like the biggest dude I've ever met. And so he's like, I was like, I need to lose some weight, bro, you know. And he puts me on this thing, and I lose 60 pounds in like 4 months. And so I just ever since then, I've been very intrigued with fitness.
Yeah,
like learning how my body, you know, reacts to different or responds to different things. And so what I found out is that I don't ever push myself as hard as I probably should when I'm alone. And so I started working out with a guy named Mod at a new gym at home called Iron Forge Gym. And dude, it's changed my life as far as fitness goes. He's like 70 years old and never looks like he's lifted a weight in his life. He can barely walk, but he's just an unbelievable person and like can push me so hard. He was like Mr. Pittsburgh 2 years in a row back in the day, and just he knows more about fitness and that world than he's forgot more than I'll ever know, you know. So it's just cool to not have to think, because I'm a worker at heart, I think, and so to have somebody that thinks for me and just tells me what to do, it's been awesome. So
And you feel like that, like you said earlier, like that, having somebody holding you accountable is what's pushing you to get greater results.
Yeah, because we're constantly going up, you know, and so if I come in one week and I can't do what I did last week, he's going to know I haven't been working at all, you know. So it's awesome to have that. At the same time, it's a lot harder, and the intensity, like now I think I could go work out by myself and really hit it hard, just because I've seen this is how to change This is what creates change, because I feel like I've been going to the gym for years, just kind of maintaining. So I'm super pumped with my relationship with Mod and where that's going. So, yeah.
Yeah. So you lost 60 pounds in how much time?
4 months.
4 months.
4 months.
Yeah, it was insane. And like I had, my wife hated it because she was like, because I wouldn't eat. Like I was like super strict because I feel like I have a ton of willpower and a ton of discipline when it comes to stuff. I just don't know what to do. And like fitness was never big in my life. So I've had to learn. Like the last 6 years, I've just been learning things,
Mm-hmm.
And so Blake saying was like, you eat salmon, broccoli, and you run. That's pretty much the things you're going to do, okay, for the next. And I did that. But what I hated was I got super skinny, just scrawny. And I was like, this is worse than being fat, man. Like I was at least strong when I was fat, So then I've been trying to figure out that balance of like, how do I build muscle but stay lean? I want to be able to run and like, I don't want there to be an animal that I can't go kill, I love being in shape. I love feeling good. So I've done almost everything from keto to, I ate raw vegetables for 4 months at one point.
Did you ever do the juice diet?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I think I remember when we were talking, you're like, dude, I'm on that juice diet, like liquid and nothing else.
Just literally juicing vegetables and fruits.
So walk me through like kind of what today, like what you're eating right now.
Yeah.
And what your morning, afternoon, evening, and snacks in between, and then what your workout routine looks like.
Right. So normally I like to work out before I eat for some reason. Like I like to meet Mod most days about 7 o'clock or something in the morning, 6:30 to 7 before I take my kid to school. And then this is a good day when I'm home. Obviously hunting season is rough because I'm on the road or whatever. Yeah. But when I'm home, it would be that. And then really, so I don't overthink it right now. And he's going to put me on a major nutrition plan when I'm slowed down from this hunting season, and we're going to hit it really hard. But the main thing I found out for me is whole foods, just like whole, whether it's, a backstrap, a sweet potato and like green, just whole foods, not like your processed foods. And my body responds to that way better. And like, I'll like if I eat in the mornings, it'll be like a Magnum or something like that, a protein shake, and then, but then it's mainly just whole foods for me after that. Not all the casserole. As long as I stay away from that stuff, I feel like my body responds really well to it. But I can overthink the diet because I've done it all. And keto I did last year. It was kind of a mix of keto and carnivore. Like I didn't do the butter and all that stuff. But it was like I did that for 10 weeks. It's probably the best I've ever looked. But at the end of it, man, my body was just, like I feel like it really damaged me, like the way my body like processed things and stuff. So it's just been a learning process for me with all this. And so the whole foods thing is something I found.
It keeps it simple.
Simple.
It does. Yeah. Like if they say if you only eat food that doesn't come with a label. Right. If you eat whole foods, it starts to make things really simple.
Right.
Meat, vegetables, fruits.
Right. Yep.
It's like this is just a whole food.
Yeah.
Even your grains sometimes it's like simple.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people get confused and they're like, okay, I need to buy this keto paleo snack for breakfast and this pancake mix that's la la la, and you're like, or just eat a whole food.
Just eat food.
Yeah.
Like real food,
So what's a typical like breakfast you enjoy?
Be like eggs and fruit and probably some kind of meat like bacon. I like bacon. If you don't like bacon, we're probably not friends.
Dude, yeah, well, you don't like bacon.
I like bacon.
You can go to Canada. Right? But
peanut butter.
Weirdly, you go to Canada and they got Canadian bacon.
Right.
You ain't going to be eating it there. We just don't want you in America.
That's right.
You're not American.
I like to take bacon and then I like to spread peanut butter on it. Like whole peanut butter, like real stuff, which you have to keep in the fridge because if you don't, the oil separates.
Yeah.
And it takes like an hour to mix it.
Oh, yeah.
So I get it all mixed, and then when the kid leaves it on the counter overnight, I'm furious because I got to start that whole thing over again. It's like it's a workout. So you put it in the fridge so it can at least stay somewhat firm. And otherwise, you got to buy the peanut butter that's filled with like hydrogenated oils and things
high
like
fructose
that.
corn syrup and all that. Yep.
But you take your peanut butter and you spread it on top of your bacon slice. And then you drizzle a little bit of raw honey on that. And then you take another piece of bacon and you put it on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you eat it. It's just a bacon.
I'd be down for that
sandwich.
The other thing that you do is you take your avocado and then you take your cooked bacon and you just wrap it around your chunk of avocado.
Okay.
And then you put a little bit of brown sugar and
paprika, cayenne pepper.
Yeah, little pepper on there, and then you put that in the oven, and then you bake it just for, I don't know, just a little bit.
Right.
And then you just pop those in your mouth.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah, I would be totally in for that. Bacon, peanut butter, avocado.
Those are all of my favorite.
All things.
Did we
that
just
are
become
good.
best friends? Like those are all of my favorite things too.
Yeah, dude.
So, and then lunch.
I would be like, let me see. I've been doing this. There's this little cafe near my farm because I've been working on the farm a lot, and it's called Maywood Grill. So I get this. It's like a huge salad with a bunch of grilled shrimp in it and some kind of like tomato basil vinaigrette. And I've been pounding that at lunch pretty much every day.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but honestly, wherever I'm at, because I feel like I'm always on the go. So it just be like, it could be grilled chicken and broccoli. It could be salmon and broccoli. It could be sweet potatoes and.
I'm sensing a
whole
broccoli theme.
food.
I love
and a green.
broccoli. You know, as a kid, I hated it.
Yeah, but you love it now.
What about kale?
I like kale. I know it's weird.
Asparagus.
I love kale.
Love asparagus.
Love
Honestly,
asparagus.
this is my problem.
With asparagus?
No, I like everything.
Oh, that's green.
Yes, I'm not anything. Green, bread.
You're not.
Sweet.
So you're not just your palate's not picky.
No.
You're not very picky on that
No.
subject.
And so like there's no food you could sit down here that I'm not going to want to eat.
We also saw that at breakfast this morning.
Yeah, dude. I was like,
the
what's
only
SOS?
the only thing we saw, bro's like sitting there. We go to this place called Sills right here in Late, and it's an awesome little diner. And it's so funny to watch this guy order up. What's the SOS? Well, that's just where we throw gravy all of it. Done. I don't know what's in it, but give me an SOS, and then let's go with a famous scone
full of butter.
Yeah, full like. We're talking if you think about
with whipped
ice cream,
butter.
yeah,
With honey,
with
butter.
honey inside, honey butter, with a like full ice cream scoop, which is the kind of scoop Brian likes.
Yeah,
loves
dude,
that butter.
Butter's never. Butter doesn't hurt you.
No, I like
People
butter.
are freaked out by butter.
Right.
I'm like, it's an unfounded fear.
Right.
Here's what I saw though, and you saw this too.
Mm-hmm.
Discipline.
Mm-hmm.
I told him to eat that entire effing scone, and he wouldn't do it. He's like, I've had half of it. This is the best thing I've ever had in my life. This is delicious, but I am not going to eat the rest of it. I'm like, no, you have to finish it. And you're like, nope, I'm not going to eat it. I'm just going to eat my other stuff, my other food. And that's part of that habit you've developed over the last 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a balance, right, in your life. You can't just. What I found is I'm an extreme person.
Okay.
So I'm either extremely healthy or extremely unhealthy, and what I've tried to find is some kind of balance where I can at least enjoy life. You know, because I can get pretty miserable on like a really strict diet, and my wife hates that, and it's like I think it's why she's got such a turn off when I tell her I'm going on some diet because she knows I'm going to like.
Full send.
It's like I'm not eating cookies. I'm not eating what you bake. I'm not eating bread. I'm not. This is what I'm doing.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, and she hates it because she's like she can balance things so well. Like she'll be like, I'll eat one cookie, but then I'll be healthy. I can't. Like if there's a plate of cookies and I eat one, I want
like
another.
Saying I'm only going to have
especially
one.
if I've worked out. Like I'll come home and there'll be a whole plate of fresh cookies,
right?
And there'll be like whipped cream in the fridge, and I'm like, I'll just have one,
right?
Dip it, and the cookies slightly warm, and the straight up cream, and I'm just like,
eat cookies here,
and then I eat it, and I'm like, and then I finish one cookie, and I had every intention of eating one, and then I eat like 9,
right?
And I'm like,
exactly.
I just don't put them in the house. That's pretty much a lot of what I do. Is I don't.
You just tell Suzanne,
don't bring it home, and I don't have a problem.
Yeah,
like I will gladly choose the kale and the asparagus and the elk steak,
right?
No problem. But it's sort of, and it depends on again how heavy the carb craving is based on how much I've like smashed a certain kind of workout. Otherwise, if I don't work out, I have really no problem not craving and denying myself of sweets.
Right.
Like I can just kind of like, but it has a lot to do with how tired I get.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like this week, we're up there at the lodge, and they're cooking unbelievable meals like spaghetti and
Hearty
sloppy
meals.
joes, and I mean there is no other options. It's not like I can go make a chicken salad. So obviously I'm pounding sloppy joes and stuff. So, but honestly, I think too, if you stay like consistency is key. I think, and so if you go on a hunt for a week, when you go home, it's not like a free, like you're not off your diet. Just while I'm gone hunting. And I get home and I try to go right back to where I was at.
How has the fitness changed you? Like, how you were saying earlier how much you value how you feel now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it just changed. Like I have just how I feel inside and like my energy and everything. It just changed. It's what I look forward to. And it's also kind of an outlet for me to go, like I look forward to it. Some people are like, oh my God, the gym, like every day I'm like, I can't wait to go to the gym because it's one place I can just lay down all my problems at the door when I walk in and I can just not think and I can just, I love that. I don't know. I love that pain almost of working out where you push yourself where you didn't think you could go every day and just keep doing it and knowing. And I think what is hard for people is to go do that and not see results right away. Mm-hmm. Because they've never stuck to it long enough to see results, But once you break past that and you do it for months and months and months, and then you look back at where you were and where you are now, even though you don't see it day to day change, that's addicting to me, knowing that as long as I just keep being consistent and pushing myself harder every week, I'm going to see results, I'm going to see change. It's just, I don't know. I love those kind of challenges, and I love doing things that nobody else, like the small percentage of people do, like sheep hunts and stuff like that, where, like, why would you go there with a bow? That percentage, the chance of you killing one with a bow is not very good, and I'm like, that's why I'm going,
Yeah.
Because I want to do it, because if I can go do that, it's just something inside. I love that challenge, and fitness was always a part, of my life that it was like, I didn't do because it was hard, and I hated that. So I've been kind of like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, every year I'm like, I want to be better than I was last year. And I'm never going to be, I'm never going to get into bodybuilding or anything like that. I don't want to look like that. I just want to be super healthy more than anything. And
so recently, I want to ask you a quick question. So recently I've been reading this book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he goes into his theory of just how habits are developed, right? Good or bad. Mm-hmm. And I think you bring up a really good point that we kind of touched on last night in our conversation.
Right.
Of people have a hard time with exercising or doing anything hard because they don't see an immediate result.
Right.
Right. But now we joke earlier on the podcast, you look at this guy and you're like, dude, he looks like a football player. Mm-hmm. Right. Because that's what we see right now. Mm-hmm. But 7 years ago, you didn't look like this.
No, I look like a professional eater.
Right? And that's 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So can you kind of talk about that process that you feel like I don't think people really understand of how the culmination of coming to the results that you've now received or what you've produced.
Right.
How do you feel compounded you got there?
It's been slow, years? Man, and it's been
slow.
Some backpedaling and like where I started, lost the weight. Then I was frustrated because I lost strength, skinny. I was like, oh, this sucks, all that work. And so then I was like gained weight back, and then I'm like, no, I hate this. So I back at trying something different, and then see some results, but then I'm like, my body doesn't respond. I don't feel well. Try something different. It's just been, but the main thing is your goal. What is your goal? And so I feel like I finally learned all that, but it's been a long process of failing, mm-hmm. And quitting and starting again, and and just saying I can't do this. My lifestyle, it'd be easy to say, well, I travel 300 days a year. There's no way I could stay in shape, But at the end of the day, it's like, how bad do you want it? Mm-hmm. How bad do you want to be healthy? How bad do you want to, extend your life? How bad do you want to be in shape? And it's something that's a huge like goal of mine is to like not let myself quit. And I think that's the main thing is you have to really just say and realize it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to be ripped a month from now, depending on how close you are to being ripped. I was a long ways from that. So. And I just think as long as it becomes a lifestyle and it's not like I'm going to go on a diet, but I'm going to fail some, I'm going to eat some terrible foods, but I'm going to get right back on it. And then like if 7 years ago I could have looked to today, it would have been a lot easier. But the problem is you can't do that. You can't, there's nothing guaranteed, and so you can't see what you're going to look like, and so it's hard for some people, I think, to go in there and not see that instantly and
try to visualize or have like almost this mind's eye for what could be, creating that and then saying, this is what I'm going to go get.
Yeah. And I read a book too about that time that said you should post you should glue or tape a picture of what it is that you want, whether it's a house, a car, a job, the body, whatever that you want on your wall every day. You got to look at it, and you got to compare yourself to it. So you never lose sight of it, And, I didn't post a picture of a naked dude on my wall.
That's refreshing, actually. I'm glad to hear that.
I wanted to clarify that.
I put the house, I put the car, but dude, I did not put the naked dude.
No, but I kept that in my head, like what is, and I'm still not there. And that, I think that's the main thing too, is don't be satisfied, and so.
Would you say that, and this just kind of goes one step further into that is, so James Clear, he talks about just kind of the 4 stages of habit and creating that. And I'm not going to go too deep in that, but one part of it that you just alluded to, that James talks about having a goal, and actually he talks about, it's actually very interesting how he describes this, because it's kind of some of my own personal beliefs that I never understood how to really describe, because anytime I did, people are like, "What, you're not a goal-centered guy?" And I was like, no, I'm not. It's not like, if everything is focused 100% on the goal, then you never actually really develop a process, or you don't actually develop a system, because then once you reach the goal, then it's like what you described. You said you have to go way beyond the diet, right? You can't say, I'm just going to go on a diet. Right. You're like, I am going to adapt a diet, and I'm going to start living that, right? So I guess the question I want to ask you is, like, do you feel like that you have developed a system and a process now in your life that has outlasted or outlived the goal that you originally outset?
Yeah, for sure. I think so. I think it's all about, going back to what it is you want, but you can't have a goal like saying, once I hit 210 pounds, I'm going to quit, because then you're just going to go right back. What's the point of it then? I guess I feel like I set goals, but at the same time, I know that it's not a temporary goal. I set goals to reach them, because then
it's a milestone goal.
Yeah, because then I know I'm going to set another goal. Once I reach this, it's not that I reach it and quit. It's I reach it and I set a more extreme goal. And my wife hates that. Because, because it's like, it's in archery, I did that, and it's kind of a curse too, that mentality of just never being satisfied and goal setting. And because I was like, I want to win 8 shooter of the years in a row, because the record is 7, and that was my goal. And I did that, and I'm like, I want to win 9, and then it's like 10. And then I set the goal of the Super Slam, and I'm like, I just can't stop, because it's when I reach 1, I'm like instantly bored. I'm like,
what's the next range? What's the next?
I'm going to relax and just enjoy life. And like the next morning, I'm just sitting there like, what am I working towards here? So it's just my personality.
So let's talk a little bit about, so it's September 28th today.
Yeah.
And it's almost the end of September, which
now we got to look to next year.
In everyone's mind is, archery elk hunting season, right? And it's the elk rut in North America. And there are a lot of people that are stoked because they got a bull.
Right.
But there's a lot of people right now that are really, really disappointed because they blew it.
Right.
In that moment of truth, or they just messed up the shot, the stock, whatever it might be.
Right.
So I want to ask you, Levi, because it's time to talk about archery.
Yeah.
You're premier archery hunter in the world here, and I want to pick your brain a little bit. How does someone become a better archer? Because there's a lot of people out there right now ready to throw in the towel because this whole archery thing is stupid.
Bow hunting sucks.
Right.
Archery sucks.
because I think there's 2 things at play. One is shooting, period, like at paper, by yourself, no pressure.
Right.
and then shooting at a live elk that's screaming in your face.
Under pressure.
So let's talk about each one.
Well, I think that, practicing in your yard is great. And I think that you learn a lot doing that and working on techniques and stuff. But I think most people don't take failure as a time to learn. I think, and that's what really will make you better. And I learned that in tournaments more, and I incorporated into hunting. I learned that, like shooting in the Vegas shoot-off, which is the highest pressure situation in archery competition. When I first made that shoot-off when I was 19, I was so nervous that I just wanted to miss to be out from under that pressure. And I did that. I removed myself from any chance of winning because I was so nervous. I was about to throw up. I said, I hate this feeling. I just want to remove myself, and I don't ever want to feel that again. And then as soon as I did it, I went and sat down in the crowd and was like, that was the dumbest thing you ever, like, why did you do that? And so from then on, I was like, I'm going to figure out how to, in those moments when you feel that pressure, like you can't pull through, there's like, you're just convulsing and you don't want to be out there and you feel like there's no possible way you can win. That's when you need to be practicing. That's when I need to be learning myself. That's when I need to try a new technique, try to bend in my arm, try to pull harder, try all these things to see if anything helps that, because you can't duplicate that pressure. You can't duplicate that feeling in practice, no matter how hard you try. I've tried to take Yeti and run and then do push-ups and jump up and shoot, and you just can't duplicate what you feel inside, or when that big bull's screaming and coming and you don't want to blow it, And so I started doing that, and I'd get in those situations and I would try things that I would, I would have a list of things like, when I feel that, I want to try this, to see if it works. And so I figured out so many things that in those moments would help me. And so then I could take that pressure and embrace it. And when people around me were choking and falling, I started winning tournaments. And so I started doing that hunting too, because when that big buck's coming in, or when that elk's screaming in your face coming in, I think people just kind of blank out and revert to, just doing this cookie cutter thing. And it's always, and maybe it works for you. Maybe you already have it down. But I think some people really struggle with performing under pressure in those situations. And instead of using those as learning experiences, they just knock it up to another failed year, And so I think people need to be practicing in those moments of a lifetime, because you can't duplicate that feeling.
I really relate to what you're saying in the tournament where you felt all that anxiety, like you just convulsion, like you're just like, I want out of this.
Right.
I want out. I want escape.
Yeah.
And so you just sabotage.
Right.
And you're out. And you're like, okay. But now you're dealing with the failure. And when you're at full draw, the pressure is intense, and it's the bull elk that you've been working all this time for, and it's just that you want to vomit in some ways. And here's that moment, and it's very easy to just escape it by just making that arrow go. Right, I think it's almost subconscious.
Yeah,
for guys.
Sure.
They just
it is.
black out. They pull out too much pressure. Boom! As soon as the arrow's gone, pressure's over.
Right.
But then there's the loss, and I do think it's subconscious in a way where that pressure is so great that you sabotage the moment.
Right.
Actually.
Yeah, I agree, and I think you have to intentionally do things. Because if you let your body just do what you feel, then you're going to shoot too soon. You're going to rush it to get out from under that, And like a good example would be my Dall sheep hunt this year. I've been able to really help myself in moments where, like, if I'm hunting and say we walk up on an animal and it happens in like 30 seconds, I'm fine. Like if I don't feel that, like if it's just a reaction, but it's when I got to watch an animal work and they're slowly coming, or a bull screaming, but he's not committing. I just start to get this feeling like, because it's like, well, is it happening? And then he breaks and he's coming and I'm already worked up. And that's when I feel this in my, in your core, like, don't screw this up. This is your only chance. Like, if you miss this, you're not going to get another opportunity. You're going to be a fail. And those are all the wrong things.
Yeah, I was just going to say, man, that you couldn't have described all the wrong things to tell yourself in the moment of truth.
Exactly. But I really believe that people that don't intentionally think about other things, that's the only things you're going to be thinking of. What's at stake?
Yeah.
And so like I learned a long time ago, just positive affirmations when you're in that moment, like have some kind of process and focus on the steps. Like you can have a goal, like, and that is killing a big bull, right? And so, but you don't want to focus on your goal. Like, I got to kill this bull. I got to kill this bull.
Right.
You got to focus on the baby steps that are going to get you there. So like, all right, let's get a good foundation right here. So this is the things I think when a bull's coming in or a big buck, all right, get your foundation right, get your lower body right in the right position to where you're going to need it. Have a good core, start, make sure your breathing's right. Don't hold your breath, because it's the first thing people do when they get nervous. They start holding their breath, and the first muscle that goes is your eyes, your vision, and that's when you start to panic. And so,
I held my breath a couple times. I'm like, breathe, stupid, breathe,
right.
idiot.
So, I mean, that's your first instinct, is to hold your breath, and so for some reason,
like, I'm not breathing. And then I tried to breathe, and then I couldn't breathe. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like,
the anxiety.
There's something about elk for me.
Yeah.
That get to me. Like other animals, like I'm pretty stone cold. I can stay calm. I'm like in the moment. I'm super stoked. In fact, I'm like, you're going to die.
Right.
You're going to die. Fine. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And I glory in this moment, this opportunity. With elk, it's I just want the arrow to go off.
Right,
like there's just this pressure.
Well, that's the difference in me in like 3D tournaments and paper tournaments, because I grew up doing 3D, which is there's so many things going on. You have to be good at so many things to win, that my mind is always focused on like the process, strategy. So I'm always like, okay, but like if it's 42, but it could be 44, so I probably should shoot it for 43, aim 12 o'clock, so I'm thinking all these things. Paper, like indoors, it's like, I'm staying there at 20 yards, shoot the yellow dot.
Hit the X.
Don't miss, bro.
Don't miss the X, dude.
If you miss, you're done. Like, out of here, this whole weekend shot. So it's a total. And so there, I think the difference is, in 3D, I'm figuring out how to win. And in indoors, I'm trying to figure out how not to lose, which is the wrong attitude to have. Hunting, you should be thinking all the thoughts on how to get this thing on the ground. Like, what do I need to do? Like, moves you need to make, all the things, instead of going, how do I not screw this up?
I like that, because with elk, I tend to slip into the category of how can I not, blow this?
Right.
Instead of how can I win?
Right.
Yeah,
for sure. And like this Dahl sheep hunt I was on this year, so we made this stalk round, got above these rams, which I knew they finally got to a spot where it's like, this is the best opportunity we're going to have. We blow these rams out, like the sheep hunt's pretty much done, So, and it's like a hunt of a lifetime, And so if I start thinking like that, like I'm sitting on the side of this mountain and it's, a 30-degree slope, and I'm like, there's a 50-50 chance when these rams stand up, they're going to come by us. They could go. There's two ways they can go, We got above them. My guide, my buddy Ryan Harder, is like way off, and we're doing hand signals back and forth, and he did the signal that the sheep are up. And Hunter was with me actually on this hunt. And so my heart's just, bracing, because there's a giant 40-inch ram in there, and then he does the hand signal that they're feeding our way, not the other way. So now they're coming, and I'm like, and we just waiting, and I'm just like my hands are starting to shake. I can feel that sick feeling. My wrists are getting weak, and I'm like, oh man, and I'm starting to fall into that, don't screw this up, dude. This is like a hunt of a lifetime, and like, remember the last Dahl sheep hunt where you had to kill him with a rifle? Remember that? And I'm like, all these negative things are setting in, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to make this shot. And I see the first ram come out, and the second, the third, and then the big guy, and he's just these beautiful curls going up past his face, and they're all under 80 yards in the willows, and I can't shoot. And I just got to watch him for like an hour. And I finally looked at Hunter and I said, dude, I am a mess right now. I said, I gotta get it together, And so I just started talking to myself. And what I really found out was like, what's big for me hunting is if I just continually range things and think about certain scenarios. Okay, what if they go this way? All right, I'm going to range that. And I had my cut chart out. So I'm just doing things to keep my mind busy while these rams are feeding below us. So I'm like ranging, if they go this way, all right, that's, 80 yards, a 20-degree slope. So I'm on my cut chart. I got 2 range finders. I'm like, what's the degrees? This one's on bow mode. I'm just keeping my mind just occupied so it doesn't go there,
Yep.
And so then the ram comes out and he like goes right to a spot that I'd already had everything figured out, like if they go there. So I knew as soon as he stepped in there, I stopped him, pulled back, smoked him. He runs off, falls down the mountain. And I'm like, if I hadn't have started intentionally thinking about other things, there's no possible way I could have made that shot.
It's so mental.
It's all right here, man. Because, I mean, yeah, you practice in the yard and you're both sighted in, your equipment's there, but then when you realize that it's all on you to now, like you put yourself in the place, you got yourself into position, your stuff is perfect. Now it's all just make the shot, and it's all going to come together,
I listened to Jordan Peterson talk about, he speaks in front of, thousands of people, and he's like, one of the questions he gets is, how do you not choke? What if you just forget what you're going to say? Like, how do you deal with the social anxiety of this moment? And most of the time, what he said is, if you want to be a good speaker, you can't think about what is everyone thinking about me. Mm-hmm. You can't have a self-conscious thought.
Right.
You can't think about yourself. Like, what if I screw up? Mm-hmm. What if this person thinks this? Or what if that's all self-conscious stuff. You need to project outward, and you need to be thinking, how can this person or that person really needs to understand these things, or my message is this. I hope that they really understand what I'm really trying to give them here at this moment. And he's focused on the process of delivering what it is he's there to do. He focuses on the doing and the message instead of on himself and what he looks like.
Right.
And I think it's the same thing when I'm on an elk like that. It's easy for me to be like, start thinking of all these self-conscious, don't screw this up, Brian. Like this is, and it's all the wrong thoughts.
Yeah.
And instead I'm thinking like I'm thinking, okay, the wind is good. Yep. It's perfect. If I go here, okay. Range, distance. Okay. Remember, pick your spot, all these things, hold it there, take your time, all the things that I tell myself when I'm in that moment.
Yeah.
And I'm focused so much on that, that I find that then I also am telling myself, you're going to die.
Right.
You're going to die.
Right.
And that might sound harsh to some people, but I learned that from some guys I've hunted with where they're so focused on that projecting outward.
Right.
You're going to die. It's not about me.
Right.
It's about this, my focus.
Yeah.
And when I move in like that, I have a whole different attitude.
Mm-hmm. This is one thing I just want to add or interject. You two are literally covering the basis of what James was kind of one segment of his book that like you both have just described it, which is you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of what I was asking you before, and now you've just done such a great job at explaining it. It is, I tend to do the same thing. I find that failure comes when I'm so centered on the moment, or I'm hyper focused on almost the failure, that I forget to go through my own system. Right. And so you talked about your personal system of just going through that thought process of body setup. Everything becomes a process or a system which you've created in your mind, because that's come from years of tournament shooting, that's come from years of practice. All of these things culminate to. It doesn't mean, and what we're submitting today to everybody listening is, we're not saying that like you're not going to miss your shot. Right. We're not saying that, but what we're saying is you have put yourself in the best position to succeed because you have gone through a system that you have developed over a long period of time that then eliminates the anxiety, helps you to calm yourself, focus in on the moment or the opportunity that's been presented, and execute on everything that you have practiced long before that moment came. Yeah,
100%. And I think it's super important what you just said is that even if you do everything right, bow hunting is so uncontrollable. Hunting in general, it's an uncontrollable environment. So you're going to screw up. But you got to take the good with the bad, and know that you're doing everything. And this is not something you're born with, these killer instincts and knowing how to mentally process nerves and pressure. It
takes lots of failures.
It's experience, man.
Yeah.
And so who cares if you had a rough season? That should just be more motivation and learn. You go back and analyze what went down, If you shot the bull bad, if you missed him, where did it go wrong? Analyze that, use that information so the next time you can try something different, because if you do the same thing over and over, you can't expect anything to change.
Well, one of the things that you said earlier too, I relate to 100%. When I'm sneaking in on an animal, spot and stock, I almost always make a great shot.
Right.
when I'm sitting in ambush and waiting for an animal to come to me,
like you can't see him or he's coming.
Yeah, or I can hear the bull just coming through the trees, just getting closer and closer. I focus. There's not so much to focus on.
Right.
Like when I'm the predator, I'm like moving. I'm moving through the bush. I'm stepping here, stepping there. I'm occupied, and I'm focused on you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die. And I'm moving in. I'm focused, and I don't get the anxiety. Right. But like you were saying, when you're just sitting there. And it's just with these sheep, and they're just coming to you. And the more you sit there doing nothing, the more you get into the don't screw this up, don't screw this up. Yep. You're going to be the guy that screws this up again.
Right. Yeah, don't
I screwed up last year. I got to shoot with the rifle.
Exactly. And that's what I think, we're sitting here talking about the process in which Levi or Brian or myself go through in a hunting scenario, but this is the same process that you go through in life. This is the exact same process that if you adopt the process of instead of focusing, like the bad habit that people create is what you said earlier, which is like, instead of taking the time to assess and learn from your mistake,
right?
You take the mistake and you chalk it up as I either suck or I just,
I'm not cut out for this.
I'm not cut out. Or you just make excuses for why you failed.
Right.
Instead of taking some ownership and saying, I need to do this, I need to do that. And I learned this. And now when I go into that environment again, I'm going to make a conscious decision to be more mindful of the situation and go through a process. And that's true in life. I think when I look at even just for me, what I've seen in my life is I have developed a lot of bad habits over my lifetime. And as I read this book, it really manifested itself more. Kind of like when we read Ego as the Enemy, and I was like, man, I got a bad ego. I need to check myself. Then we read Jocko's book, and I'm like, man, I need to take some ownership. And it's like you read these books and you start to like analyze yourself, right? But one thing that really kind of hit me is like the only thing that manifests itself in habit is time. And so good habits are developed over a long period of time. Bad habits can manifest themselves in a very short amount of time. And so, but correcting those habits or reprogramming your mind takes years and process to develop with, like, I love what you said, which is centered on the goal, but mindful that I'm going to develop a process till I reach the goal, but then I'm setting the next, like you said, the next milestone.
Right.
So it's like in hunting, a lot of guys will like, everybody wants the biggest bull.
Right.
Right. And I think oftentimes in bow hunting, people don't understand that some of these greatest hunters, like a Ryan Lampers, like I'm going to throw his name out there. You know what I mean? Like he's just a great hunter.
Yeah.
How is it every year?
Man, are just unreal.
How is it every year that Ryan Lampers kills big deer? How is it every year that Levi Morgan kills big deer? Like how is it that these guys are able to have successfully engaged with the maturest animal and win the battle, right? Or win that match. And that's what I think people don't understand is the culmination of the compounding effect of years and time and failures and small wins and small losses that eventually you become instinctual and you created the process and now it's habit. And you're like, you go out and hunt and when that whitetail's coming in, you're in the tree stand, like, dude, you have not only have you, I mean, you've experienced it time and time again. You can almost anticipate to a certain level, but you also just, you go through your process.
I think what Levi was touching on earlier is critical here, where you were describing how you can have a guy that fails 20 years in a row. They haven't gotten any better.
Right.
And I think what you said about capitalizing on those failures is learning from those, using those, and adapting is where you get better.
Right.
If you just fail and you're like, well, next year I'm going to try again. And you just keep trying the same way without making those changes, without understanding. How did you describe it?
Yeah. I mean, I was just saying, like, you can't expect to be different if you don't do anything different. You know, you can't expect a different outcome if you're not changing something, you know, and like my rookie year is in archery, I didn't win. I didn't make a top 5. All my dreams were like on the line and I was totally failing. And so at the end of that year, I was like, I looked back at everything. I was like, where did it all, I just analyzed my failures, you know, and I figured out all my weaknesses in shooting and strategy and everything. And so I made it a point. That's what I was going to work on. And the next year I was going to go and I was going to enforce those things in those moments and see how it worked. And that's when I kind of had my breakthrough with archery. But yeah, I just think it's really taking those moments that you can't duplicate, because you do stupid things in those moments, you know?
It's depressing.
It is. And if you don't ever address that, you're going to continue to do those stupid things, because you're going to practice the same way and you're going to fail the same way.
Yep.
And so that's what I think most people need to learn is don't go in there with high expectations. Go in there to learn, you know? And so in those moments, be focused on the process, be focused on, you know, something different. If you failed last time, analyze that. Don't dwell on it. Analyze what you're going to do different next time and go and then enforce it. And if you fail again, what's good about it is you know, if you enforce what you're going to do, you're not failing the same way. So then if you fail again, why did I fail this time? Okay, I'm going to change that and I'm still going to do this. And eventually you're not going to fail, because you're going to eliminate all the things you're doing wrong.
Yeah. And you're going to get rid of those bad habits.
And you're going to get rid, but you have to intentionally do it. If you just go, like this year on my grizzly hunt, I failed miserably. And it was a shot of a lifetime. An animal, my number one dream animal of all time. I got the shot that anybody would dream about, and I choked. Because I didn't intentionally do anything. I just shot it. Mm-hmm. I didn't intentionally have a good process. I just was like we had been in bears. We were hunting out of boats in Alaska, glassing the beaches. I was so excited to kill my grizzly with a bow. Like, it's all I wanted. It's all I thought about. So I built this up to like way up here in my life, like life achievement, you know?
Yeah.
And so I had already failed because I was thinking about what was at stake the entire time.
Right. You had the goal all
right. And it was like, that's all that matters. I can't wait to shoot my grizzly, you know? And so, and like all week I'd have a big bear coming and something would just happen. They'd turn, wouldn't give me a shot. So this anxiety's building up. It's day 7. Am I going to get my opportunity? You know, this is a ton of money. It's a hunt of a lifetime. And I'm just freaking out in my head. Then all of a sudden it's 3 a.m, dusky. Here's this beautiful grizzly coming down the beach. I peek over. He's still coming. We're tucked in the rocks. Everything's perfect. I range the rocks 19 yards to the water. So he's going to be
10 yards.
Top pin. You know, he's coming. Wind's perfect. It's over. Already in my head. I lean back, just like already basking in the glory of my grizzly kill, you know. And I'm like, I'm such a bad dude, you know. I'm about to just laser this grizzly with my bow. And like 30 seconds later, he hadn't showed up yet, you know. And I'm like, where is this bear at, you know? Peek over. He's walking the other way down the beach. Instant panic, you know. Right. This has happened all week. I'm ranging, and this grass is blowing in the wind, and it's telling me he's 12 yards, and he's obviously not. And so I'm freaking out in my head.
Yeah.
And so I don't think anything good. I think everything's going south. Yeah. I can't get a range. I have no idea how far this grizzly is. And, like, I just rush everything. The bear's milling around on the beach. It's not that he's not going to turn and come right back by me. He's just checking, rolling rocks around. You know, he just turned and was there. And now I can go back and analyze that. Say, why did you have to shoot? You know, so I pulled back, guessed the yardage, rushed my shot, hit him high. They had to shoot him with a gun. It all happened like this. You know, the bear turned, boom, boom, boom. You know, he's dead. All my dreams are gone. My week's over. And it's all because of me. And it's because I didn't intentionally do anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when crap hit the fan and it didn't go as planned, I had no process. I just rushed everything. Just wanted it to be over. Wanted my bear so bad that I had to shoot in that moment. I still had 3 days, and 90% that bear was going to turn and walk right by us. He had gone for 2 miles down the beach.
Yeah.
Why was he going to? And he would stop and mill along the way, and he was just doing that again. But when he's in my wheelhouse,
it feels like your dream is walking away.
It feels like he's leaving, you know. And so I learned so much still, and that was this past spring. Like, I literally was excited and so bummed because I was like, I will never do that again, you know. I will never let that happen to me again, where I just rush it and ruin everything because I'm impatient, you know. And so I learned a hard lesson, but it was something I'd never been faced with, you know. And so,
don't you think though that, you know, because there's been times where I think I'm over all that,
right?
I don't make those mistakes anymore. And I ace a season. I get a couple of good animals down. It's sort of the end of and then you go through the summer and the spring, whatever, and then you're back into September.
Right.
and I do it again.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's when I realized, like, every situation is a little bit different.
Right.
And it's sort of like what Ranella says. He's like, your lustiness.
Yeah.
Your lustiness gets in the way. 'Cause the thing you want the most actually makes it so you don't do your best.
Right.
You miss.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more you're lusting, the more you lust for that success, that grizzly bear, the more likely that lust is going to stop you from getting your goal.
You kind of, like you said, like you were overconfident too.
Yeah.
Like this happened to me 4 weeks ago. I'm with Eric Chesser. I was telling you a little bit about this.
Right.
We were up at deer camp. Him and I have hunted out of a camp for like 5 days at this point. We've been glassing up these bucks, small little 2 points, little guys here, and finally a 2x3 presents himself. Like this really cool, unique, like big 2 on one side, big 3 on the other.
Yeah.
Well, they're 2 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the only thing is we got to run. We got to cover ground, and we got to meet these guys in the middle. And so we literally just hightail and run it as fast as we can. Now, mind you guys, Brian can attest for this, and you've hunted with me enough times, you've seen this. I'm not a 12-time shooter of the year, but I'm a good shot.
Yeah.
I have
annoyingly
a good shot to Brian. I have a hyper-focused mind somehow with my ADD. When I grab a bow, I see that pin, I see that mark, and I send it, and I hit my mark. So it's like we get to the cliff edge. This is what every high country mule deer guy wants. This is what I wanted, and I visualized was kind of like Troll Archery Challenge, the cliff shot. Mm-hmm. We literally get to the cliff, and we haven't seen them since we started running. All we knew is we needed to cover ground. We get to the point of where we think they are, and all of a sudden I look over the edge and I see a butt of a deer, and I look at Eric and I go, they're here. Like, we did it. Like, chess match on. Like, now is the moment. And that 2x3 has got to be coming. Sure enough, I look back to tell him that, and as I look back, there's the 2x3 at 50 yards, feeding right up to the cliff edge. And I'm thinking, like the bear.
Yeah.
I go through this like,
I
Jordan,
did it.
you are like the shiz. Like you, 50 yards. You do this in your sleep. You've got an angle advantage. It was like a 30-degree angle shot. I come and I draw straight out, and I got time, and he's feeding. And I just settled down, and I look at him, and I got my pin, and I'm just thinking, this is over, dude. Shot right over his back. Missed it.
Yep.
Missed it. And Eric was just surprised because Eric's like, did you hit him? And I was like, I didn't hit him. And I go through this process and I go, I didn't get him. Like, but to your point earlier, I not only was I overconfident, I rushed my shot. Mm-hmm. I totally rushed the opportunity. He had no idea it was there.
Right.
He was feeding, and it was kind of at a sharp, steep angle. Mm-hmm. And all I needed to do is probably wait a little bit more, like he was on the rocks, milling around, to just make a couple more steps. Mm-hmm. And he was actually coming in closer at yardage.
Right.
And I just remember how defeating that was. And my overconfidence was my enemy in that moment.
Yeah.
For sure.
I didn't go through my process. I totally
Joel Turner once told me, he's like, most guys shoot 1 or 2 seconds too early. Mm-hmm. They're not quite, that anxiety is there, and the arrow goes off. If you just held on for a couple more seconds, held your spot, then released, you'd have been there.
Right.
And so that goes through my mind all the time now. And the other thing Brian Broderick told me, a friend of mine, he's like, I think you know Brian a little bit. Mm-hmm. Brian was like, if you just wait, often the animal will give you the shot you're looking for. But too often they're at 30 or 40 yards and you're just so anxious, but they're going to be at 12 yards if you just gave them a second.
Right.
Dude, I rushed it, man. I did what Broderick said not to do. I did not let him present a better shot or an opportunity. I just
And there is the chance that they get away. But after hunting with Lampers, Ryan Lampers, it's like they're only getting away for a few minutes or a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Ryan is like, I'll kill him tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or the next day. Or the next day. And when I found someone like I feel sorry for any animal Ryan says he's going to kill or he's got his sights on, because he's probably going to kill it, because he'll wait forever to do it. And he'll just find the animal again.
As I'll get out.
And that right there is
for sure. And even rushing, not even just the shot, but even rushing the stalk is something I have learned the hard way, like especially high country mule deer, because it's something I'm obsessed with and I started doing years ago. And I started hunting in the breaks. That's kind of where I learned mule deer hunting. And I screwed up on so many giant mule deer when I first started doing it, because I would just, as soon as I would find them, I'm gone. I'm like coming in hot, no matter where they're at.
Yep.
You didn't pattern. You didn't watch.
I didn't let him go get in a good spot. I didn't watch him for 3 days. And like, so now I'm like, I find a big deer. I'm like, we're sitting here because, he's in a terrible spot, but there's cliffs all around him. He's going to get in a good spot, eventually, maybe not today, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. But I've learned way more patience.
Well, and those failures are exactly so. When you look at someone who's accomplished and who's done a lot of things like Levi, there had to be a whole mountain of failures.
Oh yeah,
before you got there, you can't ever become what you want to be without accepting the fact that you're going to have a boatload of failures along the way. I think that's what people have a hard time with because they're like, I don't want to fail. Well, then you'll never be good.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's something you got to accept if you're going to take that road to higher level degrees of ability and success.
Yeah, for sure.
We talked about that last night.
Yeah.
You were the one that said it about, how did you say it? Like people, before they start, like before they could potentially fail, they just quit.
Yeah. Well, because I almost quit.
Yeah.
And I was telling you that story last night. A lot of people don't know that story, but I was a mason and lost my entire year as a rookie, and I was working 60 hours a week. I had no sponsors. But my dream was to be the best that ever lived in this game. I just really, that was since I was a little kid, that's what I wanted. And so, but I lost my first tournament of the second season, didn't even make the finals again. And I just failed so many times at this dream. And I'm like, I don't want to put my wife through this. We're broke. I don't have any money. I don't have anything. And I'm just sacrificing everything for this dream I have, and I don't, I feel stupid. And I had negative $700 in my bank account, and I'm like, gosh, like all for this dream. And I'm thinking about just walking away from. I called my dad, and I'm like, Dad, I can't go. I can't go because I don't have the money, and I'm done. I can't do it. Yeah, I'm just throwing in the towel. And I tried, and he was like, I'll give you the money, go and you pay me back. And so he loaned me the money to go pay my entry fee, and I knew it was now or never. Like, this is it. Like, you're either going to do it or this is the last tournament you're ever shooting. And I set a world record that still stands, the highest score ever shot, won the tournament. It was a total turning point in my life, and I almost didn't even go.
Took home $20,000.
Yeah. And then
net positive in the bank account, everybody. That's what winning tournaments does.
But like, how many people quit right before their dreams come true,
Yeah.
A large majority of us.
Yeah.
And that's like when we were talking last night, I just felt like the tone of our discussion last night was just about that. The shots that we almost didn't decide to take because we just wanted to quit.
Right.
It either had gotten to the point where we're like, we're done. Like, we tried, we gave it effort.
Right.
I gave it what I thought was my all. But some people don't even know what their all is.
Right.
Until you fail.
Right.
Until you fail, you will not understand what you can give, because then you understand where it ended and then what you need to build upon.
Right.
And so when you told me that story last night, it was funny. Luke was with us, Luke Duesenberry. And so Luke was a great example of somebody who's like, I could see it in his eyes. And he even he talked to me later, and he's just like, I had no idea that like Levi Morgan failed.
I know.
I had no idea that he ever failed.
You have to assume pretty much.
You have to assume, but the thing,
anyone who's at an elite level, they
failed.
Yeah,
to get there.
He just has the winning mindset. He's never like, so he's like, that story last night inspired me. And one thing I just want to add real quickly to that, in society, I think now more than ever today, we see the monumental moment.
Right.
Someone's success, somebody's triumph,
and
somebody's a hero. So like, real quick example. I'm a Giants fan, but actually it's been hard to be a Giants fan for a while.
Right.
Like, old Eli hasn't really been living up to his name. But then all of a sudden, this gentleman named Daniel Jones last week gets put in. They finally sit they sit Eli after all these years. And Daniel Jones comes in, rookie quarterback, and takes the game from what should have been an absolute loss. And they win their first game this season. Now he's the hero. And now it's like what our society does, which is give him all this credit and accolades. But nobody saw Daniel Jones, all the snaps he took,
right,
all the games he sat, but all the practices he made, all the time in the gym, building.
How many times did he hear no?
Yep. And so it's just, to Brian's point, nobody sees that. What people want to see is this perfect line that just
And
is a trajectory
there's a
upward.
reason for that. People want to just go, you know what? Levi Morgan is where he's at, not because he suffered any failures at all, but he's just super gifted.
Yeah,
Right.
he's just more gifted than everybody else.
When you take that, two things. When you look at where you're at today with archery and your career, and someone takes that attitude, one, they're completely ignoring all the hard work and the struggle that you went through.
Yeah.
It's like when this is like a bunch of chicks getting together. My wife goes to the gym a lot, and one of the girls is like really fit and skinny, and so all the other chicks are like, well, she's just skinny because she's born that way.
Right.
she has a great
It's
metabolism.
like, wait a minute. No, she works her butt off.
Right.
She eats like pro. She sacrifices. She puts in the work, and it's not fair. It's discounting all of that just by, and we want to do that because then it justifies our mediocrity.
Right. Human nature.
We can sit there and go, you know what? I could be like Levi Morgan too if I was just gifted.
Right.
Yeah, if I shot my bow every day and like that's all I did. You know, I could also be the best hunter too if that was my job.
So I think
you start throwing these
it's
statements.
one of the things. It's like it discounts those achievements,
But you also self-sabotage yourself.
And that's the other part.
An individual self-sabotage himself by making these claims and not taking accountability to say what you did. Like when Jeff looked at you and said, and this was a conversation we had last night, a gentleman who had 7 years of Shooter of the Year looked at him in his youth and said, Levi says, you tell a story. What did you say to him?
Well, it was I just won my first pro tournament, and Jeff was my hero. You know, he's been the best that ever lived, and he was the one that had all the records, you know, and so I'm shooting with him. I had only won one professional tournament. Jeff's leading this one. It's the Augusta National. But I'm shot well enough the first day to be paired with Jeff in the top group second day. Well, I come out, and I literally just was on a streak, and I didn't miss like the first 7 and passed Jeff to take the lead. And Jeff was frustrated, you know, like this dumb kid is like, who is this dumb kid?
Schmuck,
you know?
dude?
And like I totally get how like that's his legacy, and this kid is like, who's he think he is challenging me, you know, right now? And but I was like, I could see Jeff's frustration, and I tried to like ease that, and I was like, Jeff, you know, you're unbelievable, man, and what you did nobody had ever done before, winning 7 in a row. And he's like, yeah, nobody will ever do it again. You know, like looking me right in the eyes, and that was a huge moment in my career because I could have been like cowed down and like let it intimidate me, but instead I could just feel something burning in me, like maybe not, but I am good. That's my new goal. Thanks, you know. Like I now have a goal, you know, and so I just think that's, you know, just one of those things, those life-changing moments. But
because you had a decision to make in that moment.
Yeah,
you had a decision to say
he's right.
He's right. Like how to win 7 years in a row. I mean, that's unheard of. That's
it's
nobody's
almost
ever done
unfathomable,
that.
you know. And it's like, but if I would have set my goal as like I did to win 8 in a row, but if that would have been my focus every year, you never win 8 in a row.
No,
because you're constantly thinking what's at stake every year. If I make a mistake, my whole year's shot. Then I can't win 8 in a row. Then my goal is gone. Then he was right. You know, but so you have to focus one arrow at a time. Let's just, you know, I have to shoot this arrow.
So much pressure, dude.
Well,
like, that's just like,
think about this.
You can't win 8 in a row if you lose number 7.
Right,
Exactly.
exactly.
But think about
dude.
this. This is something that I think people need to walk away with what Levi's saying. I mean, respectfully, I say this to everybody. I say, you know, people are like, you know, my family members. This is how I describe Levi Morgan to them and see me hunting with him. Who's this Levi guy you're hanging out with? And I'm like, Levi Morgan is the Michael Jordan of archery. That's how I can describe to you. Because then my dad goes, oh, okay. And it clicks. But why? And I said, he's won 12 championships. He's like, dang, because Jordan won like 6. Right. and he said, and I remember one time Levi and I sitting down talking about this. And one of the things that like both of us heard from Jordan always said, you know, I don't play the game. I don't look at the scoreboard. I'm not worried about where we're at. I play each possession.
Yeah.
And that was a difference when he was asked that question, like, how have you won champions? How have you been so successful? What do you do in these situations? He said, I play each possession. I play my defense, and I'm going to win that possession. I play my offense position, and I'm going to win that possession. The same way Levi just said, I played every shot.
Yeah. And that was something my dad really instilled in me when I was young, is like, don't think about the outcome. You know, if you want to win and you don't focus now, that's not possible. And what, like a human brain, it's hard to fathom like winning. You know, like what have I got to do to win? All these different things. It has to come together. You have to do perfect to win this tournament, but you have to do that every tournament to win one shooter of the year, but you have to do that every year to win 8 in a row, you know, like without failing. And so if that's my thought process, I don't even try, you know, and I think that's
that
the
seems
point.
Daunting.
I'm not putting myself out there for that kind of failure. You know, I don't want to feel what that would feel like to get that close and fail. You know, and so it's like, what if you win 7 and then lose by a point on
Like
your 8th
Brian
year?
saying.
That's like you're on bridge watch, you know? Like, so I'm like, so I'm, you know, but instead I was like, all right, I'm going to take this. I want to, you know, this is my goal, but I can't think about that. And that's a smaller goal, and I'm not going to think about that. It's this shot. It's the only one that matters. So do everything right this shot and break it into micro steps and just focus on now. And then before you know it, bam, I won my first shooter of the year. I won that year. And I was like, oh, cool. You know,
It's sort of like the grizzly bear thing, focused on the outcome. You're already high-fiving.
Oh, yeah.
You're already like doing backspins.
Oh, I'm
You're
looking at my brother.
hell yeah.
I'm glorying in my already killed bear that's still
walking down the beach.
Even though I wasn't, like I look back and imagine myself like kick back, legs crossed, just like smiling, fist bumping Micah.
Right.
Like, we did it, bro. We did it, man. Awesome. You know, but
air hasn't even come out of the
It
quarter.
can happen
Right.
both ways. You're focused on the outcome because of fear of failure, and you're
Right.
focused on the outcome because you're
overconfident.
You are overconfident.
Bottom line,
Either way,
focus
don't
on the
focus
outcome.
on the outcome.
Yeah.
Play each shot, play each moment, and focus one step at a time. Because
Yeah.
the thing that I feel like the consistency of this conversation has come to is the compounding effect of doing the small things over and over
Right.
and over again, and focusing on those small things that turn into big things. And that's one thing that they call it the 1% effect. And for everybody listening, the 1% effect is this. It's everything that Levi and Brian have been talking about today and a little bit of what I've interjected. But it's if you just apply a 1% increase to anything, think about it from this stake. If I increase my shooting or my confidence in shooting or my ability to shoot or the performance of my bow or the angle in which I shoot, like you've talked about, something's got to give. But if I find that by a 1% increase of this compounded over 365 days, I just increased my performance by 365%.
Right.
Those are some really big numbers. But again, you can apply that 1% effect to every single thing in your life. Everybody wants 100% every day.
Yeah.
But you have to realistically give yourself some, like, check yourself and say,
Right.
if today I can do fitness, right? If I can go to the gym today and just push myself 1% better, compound it over 365 days, you're going to look pretty good.
Right.
Or
Or
you're going to
just-
feel pretty good.
You know what? As much as you want to finish that scone, don't do it, bro.
And I didn't. I did a 0% effort today. I literally gave up.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I'm looking at it going, if I eat that whole scone, it's going to make it way easier to do it again tomorrow. But, you know, if I show some discipline here and show myself, hey, I had a couple bites.
Yep.
Pretty good.
And Jordan had zero discipline. Full send down the hatch, scoop of butter all over it.
Yeah.
It was bad. But that's just what I wanted to say, and kind of like my closing remarks of this brilliant discussion is just, it's a compounding effect, guys. Good habit is developed over time.
Yeah.
And it's something that takes time
Yeah.
and consistency, like he's talked about.
The thing that sticks in my mind after this whole discussion is something that you said, Levi, and I relate because I love sports too.
Right.
But when you play not to lose,
Yeah.
it's a totally different mindset than when you play to win.
Right.
And you see these college basketball teams
Holding the ball.
and holding the ball and doing all this stuff. It's like, no. Every team that plays not to lose loses.
Yeah.
Yep.
They lose.
Yeah.
Teams that play to win, win.
Right.
And I think it's the same in the elk woods. I think it's the same shooting your bow.
For sure.
You play to win. Do not play not to lose.
In
Yes.
life.
And I have
Good
loved
point,
that
Brian.
analogy because I love basketball and I hate holding the ball. Don't run the clock out, man.
Yeah.
Score again.
Yep.
You know what I'm
Apply
saying?
the pressure.
Yeah, maybe.
You already got 'em on their heels.
Right. Don't take high percentage shots, but take your shot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Let's
saying?
go for a layup.
You didn't take the lead by holding the ball.
Totally.
You know,
Yeah.
do what got you there. If you're improving,
That's deep. I agree.
Score.
Yep.
And then learn from those mistakes. Because
Right.
I think often guys make mistakes and they don't analyze the mistakes. Like I've been guilty of that where
For sure.
I probably did the same thing year over year. I just got to try harder. What does that mean?
Right.
You know, like what did I actually do wrong? And now being deliberate when I take a shot, intentional is, you know, at the forefront of my mind every time I pull the bow back.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
So very cool. Thanks for joining me today.
No,
Levi.
thanks for having me. It's awesome.
Jordan, thank you.
This was a great discussion. It's been a long
enjoyed
time
it.
since I put the mic on.
It's been
I
a
know
while.
we've been doing you've been putting out some podcasts from ones that we had done in the past, and then we've been so busy. Brian's podcast is putting out some really, really good stuff right now. I just wanted to let everybody know, I'm going to put the plug in here since I'm the Mountain Ops guy. Yeah. So anybody who's listening, you know, if you guys want to get a discount or some free shipping on any of your orders right now, go to mountainops.com and use code GRITTY.
That's right.
Right?
Boom.
Use the code GRITTY.
Yeah.
Get some
let me just close with this
discount, free shipping.
Yeah,
like that.
since we're ending on a little bit of a sponsored. Yeah, so everybody get ready for
plug away.
plug
brother.
away. Here's the ads. You talked about one product that you liked. What, just so everybody knows, what is your favorite products at Mountain Ops?
Well, depends on what time of year it is.
Okay.
Summertime, Yeti.
Yeti, summertime.
Yep. That's my go-to every day pre-workout. This time of year, energy shots.
Yep.
Big time.
Shake it and take it.
Yep. Dude, that's what I look forward to so
Chad
much.
Mendez too. Like,
Him
loves.
Well, the three of you,
I chug
you
'em.
and Levi and Chad Mendez are like shot. You guys are like the LMFAO, bro. Yeah.
There's something about these.
You know what's funny, and I talk about this with Levi all the time, is we don't, at Mountain Ops, we've got such a wide range of products, right? A real complete line that people have an opportunity to go check out.
Right.
I would say that gets the least amount of time, airtime. But if you're following this guy, it's at the forefront. It's Yeti mode.
Yeah.
And blaze
you
away.
know who else? Number one, Ryan Lampers.
Oh,
really?
he loves them.
Dude,
He's all about
it's
the
like,
shots.
you know, when you're out there grinding it out in hunting season, it's all about the mentality you have. Like, you can get in a pretty low place. Honestly, those put me in a better mood. And, like, that's what I need every morning.
Yep.
Like, me and my brother, it's a blaze shot. Boom, we're in ready. Like, let's kill it, you know? And I think that's the mentality you take every day. So it's like a necessity, dude. It's like it's a part of my equipment. Make sure you got a blaze shot. Every morning, it's a conversation me and Mike have. You got your blaze shot in your pack? Yep, got mine. I got 2 extras just in case a guy wants one. All right, let's do it. Let's kill it today, and then let's go.
The best is he calls me up, and he's like, bro, I'm out. And I'm like, I just sent you like 50 shots. He's like, yeah, we gone through them.
Yeah.
Like, I need another one.
I like the Ignite. I like the Yeti. But this time of year, it's slumber.
Yeah.
Because when I'm backpacking, you know, you're sleeping on
get
a
a
phone,
little
your
bit
blow-up
extra sleep.
mattress.
Oh, yeah.
It's cold a little bit. You're in a sleeping bag. You're not in your bed at home. And just that little bit tips you over and gives you that good night's rest.
Yep.
So I like that.
Yep. So guys, go check out. What's that?
When can we get a flannel?
Oh, yeah, we're actually pretty stoked. We've got our Tamarack flannels that are online right now. Listen, it's basic white boy, right?
I like it.
I mean, we're going to be in our khaki pants and our whatever shoes we're wearing, and then we're going to drop some flannels. But yeah, if you want to go
They're
check
a little
out.
metrosexual.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
They do have a lumberjack feel.
They've got,
I have the red flannel.
Listen, I'm just going to say this. This flannel is not for the millennial guy that has a beard and has never wielded an axe or cut down a tree. Yep, the man bun. This is for a guy like us who has gone into the woods, probably cut down some trees, made themselves a fire, self-hunted, and then backpacked out some milk. Chop some wood with a real axe, not for pictures. So yeah, guys, we got a lot of stuff at mountainops.com. Obviously, we've got some favorite products from Levi with the Yeti, the Magnum, the Blaze Shots. We got Slumber over here. I mean, we've got it all, guys. But just go check it out, mountainops.com. Use code GRITTY at checkout. Get yourself a discount or save on some shipping. And this podcast is brought to you by Mountain Ops.
Thanks, guys.
Tuning in.
No, thank you, man.
Thanks,
It was
Levi.
awesome.
Okay.
How can people find you?
Oh, yeah.
Levi?
Yeah.
Instagram.
We know where Mountain Ops is at. Where's Levi at?
Yeah, Bow Life Levi on Instagram. That's where pretty much been. That's where
All one word?
That's all there.
Yeah, Bow Life _ Levi. If you, that's where like all my stories are at, all my adventures are at, and then bowlife.com is our our site.
We didn't get into the elk hunt epic elk hunt you just did.
It was.
Where are we going to see content for that?
Well, it'll be on the show. We got, Bow Life TV. It's on Sportsman's Channel Wednesday nights at 8:30. And you can follow the story on my Instagram right now. I highlighted it. I just learned how to do, which is pretty sweet. Yeah.
He's getting so socially inclined.
So it's still there.
So you can watch it next
Anytime.
week.
Nice.
Whenever.
Okay,
but that was epic. The super cool people and a super cool hunt. So
in a pretty cool state.
Pretty cool state.
Yes.
God bless Utah.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Stay gritty.
Guys.